Blank. All right. Hey, what's up, everybody? How y'all doing today? Welcome to the O Show. I'm here today with Adriana Rodriguez from Dodge City, Kansas. Hey, Adriana, how are you doing today?
I'm great, Oscar. How about you?
Good, good. So, how was your trip from Dodge City to Texas, huh?
Man, if we're gonna reminisce back to what, May 2020?
Uh huh.
So probably the worst month I could have probably moved. I mean, granted from like when the hot weather started, but man, it was a hard one. I went from dry Kansas heat and I moved to Texas where it was humid, hot
Ooh.
heat. So the moment I got out of the car and it was like time to unload everything, it was just instant like sweat,
Yeah, it was like
sweat everywhere. It was gross. Um,
like
but
that heat
I,
wave just hit you.
it was awful, Oscar. It was just like humidity everywhere. But it was great, like I'm glad that, I had my family and my boyfriend's family to help just move everything in, get all the boxes in, and trying to get settled as fast as I could.
Mm-hmm.
No problem, no biggie. We did that. And ever since then, I mean, it's gonna be coming up a year or so that I've been here in Texas, Denton, Texas to be specific, and so it's been great. I love
Oh,
it.
that's good. That's good. So, like, what is it that brought you here to Texas exactly?
It all was with one little app, a dating app, and that's how I got here. Back in Hays, Kansas, where
Mm-hmm.
where I went to school. You're just doing your own thing, vibing, and one thing led to another, where you all start downloading these dating apps.
Oh, so it was a man.
It was a man,
Oh man.
a man. And we met on the app, hit
Mm-hmm.
things off really well. We did long distance for about a year, I would say, and it was just constant, going to see each other. I flew to Texas,
Mm-hmm.
also came back on a train, and then he would make several trips over to Kansas to come visit me. And so, just overall, whenever we just both settled, and we're like, you know what, we really like each other. I was on the like the brink of graduating from college, so I was like, why not have a really cool life adventure, move to a new state, and just like start something new, something
Man,
fresh.
that's great. Not a lot of people would do that. A lot of people would be afraid to do something like that, and it's
Yeah.
it's 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 appalling that you did that. Because not like that takes a lot of courage to just drop everything you're doing
Yeah.
and go. So like, did you finish your what? Did you go to Hays State University or Fort Hays State?
Yeah, so I'm like a walking
No.
billboard from them today. But yeah, I graduated from Fort Hays State University with a bachelor's degree
Uh huh.
in elementary education. So I decided to go into teaching and got my bachelor's. And essentially, when I moved down here, I was like, you know what, Texas is the place where they rave about how teaching is amazing,
Mm-hmm.
the pay is amazing. I'm like, you know what, this is like probably where I'm meant to be. Maybe like destiny led me to move out of state, start fresh, start a career down here.
Mm-hmm.
And so I thought, why not take my bachelor's and everything that I learned in those 4 years at this
Okay.
amazing university and apply it down here. So
Oh, okay. So that's
that's where,
great.
that's where my plans. Yeah.
So are you teaching now as a teacher?
Unfortunately, I'm not.
Mm-hmm.
So with the whole coronavirus hitting, I moved down here, and man, it was difficult.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not gonna lie. I started applying pretty early into the whole hiring process, but I wouldn't hear anything. I wouldn't hear anything back. But then I also sat back and was like, when I was feeling discouraged, I'm like, you know what, Adriana, maybe you're moving out of state.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody knows who you are. You're a recent college graduate. And like, yeah, of course they know that you went through all these courses, you learned like all the teaching methods, you got your hands-on experience, but at the end of the day, it's like they don't know who I am. They're just like, this is a brand new person. We're seeing a whole new like resume, cover letter, but
You can come and be yourself. Introduce
yeah.
yourself. You don't have to put up an image for people that you thought was this and that. But
Yeah, exactly. Like, I mean, there were pros and cons of me like not being known down here, but at the same time, I'm like, man, if I go into an interview, I'm gonna be a fresh new face. They're gonna be like, where did she come from? And I'm like, that's like my ultimate time to be like, this is who I am.
mm-hmm.
I'm so passionate about this, and hire me if you will. But I at the end of the day didn't get the job that I wanted, I was a little discouraged, but I also told myself, you know what? It's not the end of the world. And that's when I went ahead and got a job tutoring with an amazing family for their 2 little kiddos. And then I'm also subbing here in the school district. So either way, my foot's in the door one way or another, and I'm teaching in a way, even if it's not in the classroom.
Yes. I mean, you're preparing. You're going to get there. You know, that's the preparation right now.
Yeah.
Being able to be there with the students and work with the children and or with the students, and
Yeah.
you'll definitely be there.
Great.
But so like, what brought you towards teaching? What is it that influenced you to want to be a teacher? Because like I've heard teaching is a really, really hard job.
Yeah.
For a lot of people, and it's really underpaid. You know, but
Yeah.
what is it that took you to being a teacher? Exactly.
Oh, man. I mean, as long as I could remember, I just always would see myself as a little girl playing school, like no matter what. And it's always one of those things where, as you know, you're little, whatever you like play, you're like, man, I'm going to be a singer, a vet, this, what.
Oh, you were playing teacher.
Yeah, I was there like with my little pencils and like little pieces of paper, handing them out, pretending I had like a whiteboard and everything. And I think just the love for it just grew, because I think a major part was having amazing teachers. I mean, I could go back to my 3rd grade teacher and the teacher that I had for 5th and 6th grade. They were like these amazing individuals that just inspired me to do what they exactly did. Like, I mean, my love for teaching has always been there since elementary school, and it was because of them. And I always told myself, like, I want to be that adult in a kid's life. I want them to be able to grow up, and even when they're in their 20s, 30s, whatnot, they can look back and be like, man, I had a teacher, and she just completely made me fall in love with, like, school, in love with learning new things, in love with just the concept of everything that comes with school. Because with school, I mean, it's not only you're learning, you're getting, you know, you're building your social skills and all that. And yeah, like I said, it's just those individuals that I had.
Yeah, no, that's a really good thing, you know, because there are a lot of teachers out there that don't make that kind of an effort.
Yeah.
To really get to know their students and work with them well. I've had a lot of teachers that, you know, some of them, they were good to where they really got to know me. They respected me as a person, not just because I was a student or because I had a diploma. But then I had those one teachers that it's like, I have a diploma, do what I say now.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate that there's, you know, educators out there that are like that. I mean, it breaks my heart that there's some people that go into it and it's like, man, the connections that they make with their students is just not there. I mean, and ultimately, it could make you hate school. It could make you dread.
Most definitely. I was one of those kids that it was like, I hated school. Like, all throughout school, I felt like I was wasting my time.
Yeah.
And every now and then, though, I had that one good teacher where it's like, okay, like, you know, this person's really trying for me and they're really trying to teach me.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to give in, you know?
Exactly.
And it's like, if not, like, it's like these teachers are just like, they're like bullies, you know? Some of them. And it's, but yeah, you know, I see where you're coming from and I feel like you're approaching it in a great way.
Yeah. Yeah, because ultimately, when you do become a teacher, man, you're not just a teacher. You're literally like a counselor, a nurse. I mean, even sometimes you literally, I mean, depending on, you know, your gender, but like you literally turn into a parental, you know, figure for these kids because they don't have that at home. And it's like, and to be honest, as a kid, I never saw that because you just saw an adult just standing up every day in front of a whiteboard, teaching you how to add, subtract, multiply, and whatnot. But it's like now as an adult, when I look into how much an educator makes an impact on a kid's life, it's like, man, there's literally kids that go home and probably only see their parents for like 20 minutes. And then it's like, all right, the routine starts all over again. And you're literally the adult that makes this huge impact and they literally see you as another parental figure.
No, and it's true, you know, because sometimes some of these kids, like, yeah, that is the parental figure. You know, you're there with them for 8 hours a day.
Yeah.
Where sometimes the parents will be at work, they might see them 2-3 hours a day, and then they have to sleep the other 10 hours because they have to go, or the other 8 hours because they have to go back to work.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, like, when you think about it, it's like, it's crazy how I'm going to have a day, and it's going to make me giggle, but, like, in the inside, it's going to make me feel warm. And I don't know if you can, like, also relate to this, but there was, like, one day that I accidentally called one of my teacher's mom. And it's like, you sit back and you're like, oh, my God, that was so embarrassing. But it's like, man, some kids literally sit there and are like, I feel like you are more like my mom than my actual mom because I see you more. You give me this love and nurture that I'm missing at home. And it's like, man, I don't know, like thinking about it right now, I'm like, it's so crazy that I'm going to have that, that relationship with a student one day.
Yeah, no, yeah, definitely. I understand what you're saying. I had a teacher back in high school who would always cover me, like she'd always make sure that I'm going towards the straight paths, because sometimes I'd pivot to the left, pivot to the right. She'd be like, hey, no, get your act together and stuff.
Yeah.
Get your work done. And she would help me a lot. And those teachers are definitely needed out there, especially in today's age with all this technology on the rise. Kids are feeling more and more secluded, and it's tearing families apart. It's destroying the mental structure for these kids, and it's just they need that backing there for them with teachers like you.
Yeah. I mean, like on the topic of like technology, like man, it's becoming a greater thing in everybody's lives, especially children's lives now, because with online learning and everything. But you also have to like see how it's affecting, young adults that are in middle school, high school. Like social media is like such a huge thing that when you think about it, it's like technology nowadays, it's like 50-50 with, school and social media, but social media has such a great, impression on them that, as adults, whether, it's educators, parents, guardians, whatnot, it's super scary to know how they're using it. And, got to be able to understand that, these kids need a certain balance of everything.
No, yeah, definitely. These kids are just like, some parents just throw them a tablet, stop crying, here you go, enjoy, watch videos, and you don't know what those kids are watching. You don't know what they're teaching themselves. And then the kids are horrible, right? They like bully each other nonstop all the time, and you put them on the internet, now you're gonna have kids trampling over other kids.
Yeah, I mean, from like with the whole subbing situation, I mean, with student teaching back when I was in college, my last semester, I was with first graders. So I didn't have that problem with, with technology and social media and all that, because they're little. I mean, they're barely getting the hang of how to use an iPad. And even then, they only know how to use an iPad for like, all their schoolwork and, maybe here and there to like take funny pictures with filters, but it's innocent stuff. But then when you get to like older kids, like a few weeks ago, I was like subbing in a middle school, and I'm like, it left me dumbfounded on how much TikTok has an impact on these kids. But literally, I feel like TikTok has like taken over their lives.
No, and it's just not kids, I've seen adults sitting there playing around on TikTok, it's like, hey, we got stuff to do. You can't be playing around on TikTok all the time.
Yeah, but it's crazy. But at the end of the day, it's like these kids play it smart too. I mean, the things that they come up with and the things that they say nowadays, it's just mind-blowing.
Yeah, no, definitely. Like, I mean, this technology is just world changing for everyone.
Yeah.
Adults and kids alike, but there are a lot of great things and there are a lot of bad things, and it's just finding, the middle point, which is very hard in something like this, like, because none of us understand what's going on with all of this.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, with time, like, with, the COVID and everything happening, like, if I do get into teaching, and it is one of those things where, I do have to do, like, half virtual learning / half having my kids in person wearing masks. I do feel like it'll be like an adjustment. I mean, I'm on this like Facebook group with different teachers across the country, and to like get on my Facebook every day and to read about all their struggles that they're going through, as well as what achievements and like, their little heartwarming moments where it's like, man, I don't know whether to be grateful that I didn't start this year, or, I'm still bummed. But at the same time, I'm like, when I envisioned myself being a teacher, I didn't envision it behind a computer screen.
Yeah, that's
honestly
crazy. No, really, that does sound crazy. It's like, hey, you're going to have a class of 32 students in a Zoom call.
Yeah, I tried doing like the whole online learning thing through one of my college courses, and I want to be honest, I felt like a complete failure doing it, because it was supposed to be this like literature tutoring with a third grader, and this was way before COVID hit, and this student just could not sit still. I could not have her full attention, and because of that, I felt like I could never deliver any of my lesson plans. I couldn't do any of the activities that I had planned with her. And I just felt so defeated. I was like, how on earth am I supposed to teach a student over a Zoom call? It was insane. And now I'm like, teachers do it every day. And it's not just one student. I'm like, man, if I felt defeated with one kid, I'm like, I cannot imagine how
32 students.
32 students are kicking. Yeah.
It's that's crazy. And it's not just school too, you know, like businesses are like starting to hold all their meetings on Zoom calls.
Yeah, and I mean, I hope, you know, with businesses like that, because it's all adults, it goes a lot more smoother. But, like, when you get on a Zoom call with, like, 32 kids, one moment you're going to have one kid, like, bringing in their, like, pet cat, and then the next one is like, hey, miss, do you want to see what I drew you? And it's just, you're going to be bombarded the moment you let all those kids on. It's just going to be like, miss. Like, it's crazy. But at the same time, like, man, you just have to live for those moments because you're like, these kids at some point are going to grow up and you're going to think back like, man, I remember when COVID-19 was a thing and everything was virtual and, you know, let's say everything's back, you know, face to face. You're like, man, I bet I can say that there's going to be some teachers that if everything goes back to normal, they're going to be like, man, you know what? I do have, like, my days where virtual learning was, like, awesome.
Definitely, you know.
Yeah.
They might be in their underwear, you know, with the teacher sitting behind the desk trying to teach students.
Exactly. And that's the cool part is, like, man, you get online, you can literally be sweatpants from, like, the waist down, but, like, you have your little button-up shirt and, like, you got to just fix your hair a little bit and you're good to go. But, I mean, you can't do that in person. Kids would look at you funny.
So tell me more about, like, your college time. Like, how was university? How was the Forte State?
It was awesome. You know, I don't regret going to university right after high school graduation. Mm-hmm. It was definitely not in my plans. I had planned to attend the community college in my hometown. But then, you know, through all my hard work, I was able to be offered all these scholarships and grants. And so I turned to my parents and I'm like, what should I do? What should I do? Because, you know, it's one of those things where, like, I wanted to hear my parents kind of, like, guide me. Mm-hmm. And ultimately, like, my parents were just like, you know what? Just do what's right. You're being offered this amazing opportunity to attend a college that you were going to go to anyways, mm-hmm. which, you know, I was going to go there. And so I was like, you know what? Let's do it. Let's get it over with. And so I moved into the dorms my freshman year. Mm-hmm. And I didn't have a roommate at first, which, like, kind of bummed me out because I wanted the whole, like, movie thing where, like, oh, I meet a girl, she's gonna be, like, my next bridesmaid at my wedding, this and that.
You've been watching too many movies.
I have. I will admit that. But I always told myself, I'm like, it's gonna be one of those moments. And then the girl never showed up. So I was like, I have this room with 2 twin beds, and I'm by myself. But luckily, I had some great friends that, you know, helped, you know, made me get rid of that feeling, and we're like, Adriana, be grateful you have an empty room, because they were like, my roommate sucks, and that.
Yeah, roommates can suck sometimes. I when I was over at University of North Texas, I had gotten, it wasn't like dorming, it was like off-campus dorming, sort of, and there was like 3 other roommates I had, and like,
oh cool, yeah,
it was just horrible. There was always dishes stacked up, like, you know, and it was like, everybody was in their own little corner of the building. Yeah. Nobody ever really talked to each other. You just hear, like, when one of the persons would come out and in and out and in. And it was just like, to me, it's like, wow, I'm like living with 4 complete strangers that just leave dishes out and stuff like that, you know?
Yeah. And that's the situation I had my sophomore year. Uh-huh. It was like dorm living, but it was like an apartment style type of dorm living. Mm-hmm. And I moved in with like 3 complete strangers as well. And I shared a bathroom with one of them. And I was like, this is so weird. And once again, I never became friends with any of these girls. It was always like a hi, bye type of situation where, like, if we passed each other, that's all we said. But I never got to know them. I never got, you know, a chance to just be comfortable around them. And I bet they can vouch the same exact thing. Like, we were all legit strangers to each other. But then after that, like, I decided to move off campus with a friend. And, you know, I really liked the feeling of being, like, independent at that point where, like, I have my job, I'm able to independently work and make my own money for rent and bills. And then I repeated that same process the year after that, so my senior year. And it was just great, you know, like, even though living on campus was fun and all, it really gets even more fun when you live off campus. And even then, if you, like, room with somebody you don't get along with, it happens, situations do occur like that. But overall, I think I would take that over sharing, like, so many cubic feet with somebody, you know. Yeah.
The beds are right next to each other.
Yeah, it's like, okay, like you have your like this much privacy. To me, yeah, I don't know. I wasn't a huge fan of it, especially like seeing other people's like rooming situations. I'm like,
yeah, I've seen like I went to one of those dorms like whenever I was first, trying to see what university I wanted to go to.
yeah,
And every time I walked into those rooms, I was just like, man, you really don't have privacy here, you know? Their bed is about 2 foot away from me. They could accidentally roll onto my bed or something, you know, make a little skip.
Yeah, or you had those that are like bunk beds, like some people had them. And it was crazy to me to know that somebody would be like willing to like crawl up like 5-6 feet up onto their bed, and it's like, dude, what if you like roll out of your bed in the middle of the night and you just hit the floor? That was like my first like thought. I'm like, I would hate to be that high up. Like personally, I've never like slept on a bunk bed or had to share bedding like that with somebody, but I'm like, why would you choose that?
I've had to do that, and it is not fun. I actually did roll off the bed myself, and it was it hurt. That's all I
bet.
It hurt. It was not something that was. I don't know. I never even thought of that at the moment being. Like, I should have put a board up or something, or asked my dad. I was a little kid. I didn't know what was going on.
Yeah, no, you gotta kind of work with what you got at that point.
Yeah, no, definitely. Well,
yeah, no. Just to like go off like a little bit more about like schooling and stuff. When I did graduate, it kind of sucked how my graduation was like robbed from me. Which, like, thanks COVID-19, you took that from me. I unfortunately never got to walk the stage.
Oh, no.
Yeah, so that was like kind of like the disappointing factor. Like, I was like, man, I wanted to end the year of all these 4 years of hard work, walk across the stage, like hear my name being called, and that just never happened.
Did you do one of those like awkward online stage walks or whatever?
It wasn't like an online stage walk. Eventually, like, my school ended up posting like a Facebook Live where like all our names were called. And so of course, like, I had to run home. I put my cap and gown on, like, no shame. I put it on. I was like, I have to live in the moment, pretend I'm there. And yeah, the moment like my name was called, like, I'm not even gonna lie, I like shed a tear because I'm like, even though it took so many months after to hear my name be called, I'm like, I finally got my moment. And it just felt amazing, just like being like, all right, even though it took a while for this moment to happen, I'm like, it happened, and I can finally like close a chapter on just my whole college experience.
Yeah, when that had happened and people were graduating, I heard of people doing like, the Facebook ones. They were doing them through Zoom. They were even doing them through games.
Really?
I don't know if you heard of that, but there was people having like full out weddings inside of like in the game, inside of a game.
I've never heard of that.
No, I know, and it was crazy. They were having weddings. They were having full out graduation ceremonies, and it's just it was changing a lot. And it was interesting to see like how people were adapting so quickly to those things.
Yeah,
where it's like, all right, you know what? We can't meet in person. Everybody hop online. Let's play this game and go to our graduation in the game.
Yeah, no, that sounds like super cool, and I wish I could have done something like that. My parents aren't like the most, smart with like technology. God bless them, but it was
they
just
might hear you.
It's one of those things where I did send my mom the link and I shared it and made sure like all like my relatives were able to like hop on there and see it happen live. But like as far as like celebrating like as a whole with my family, like I did have a small celebration back home, like back in Kansas with my family. And then hopping down here to Texas, like I did have, my boyfriend's family were able to help me celebrate and congratulate me as well. So, I mean, I got the best of both worlds where, even though I didn't have everybody together how I planned it, because originally, like, I was going to have everybody go to Hays, Kansas. We were all going to be at the stadium all sitting together and just everybody hear my name at the same time. But, it didn't happen, but I did eventually get it, and I'm very grateful for that.
No, definitely. Blessings towards that, man, because it was very tough for a lot of people, and I'm sure you're not alone on that. I'm sure a lot of people were just looking forward to walking that stage after all those years of work.
Yeah, and like with future graduates, like I really am crossing my fingers that COVID is just something of the past, and you guys have your moment where you get to walk that stage. You get to be so proud of your accomplishments and just know that blood, sweat, and tears were worth it.
See, I went to, when that was going on, like my brother was graduating high school at the time.
Yeah.
So they, how they shut down all the schools and everything. So they had shut down all the schools. let all the students out early. I think it was like half in the semester or like 3/4 of the semester through.
Yeah.
And it's just like they just let them all pass, from there. Like they let them all
Really?
pass. So I was like,
Wow.
okay, y'all got an easy bite of that.
For real, yeah.
My brother was telling me he was upset that he wasn't going to get to walk the stage either. But the school, what they did is they rented one of the NASCAR stadiums. I don't know which one it is. It's here in Texas.
Oh man. Okay, I was here
The Motor
for
Speedway.
that. Yes, I was here for that, and I can vouch that it was like one of the coolest things I probably have seen. Like my college graduation probably would not have been that like eventful.
Yes, that's what I thought was crazy, right? Because like there was college graduations weren't doing that, and I'm sitting here like, wow, like their high school went
above and beyond.
Yeah, above and beyond to try to like make sure this works for them so that they can have their moment. It was crazy.
Yeah.
Like, they were sitting out in the field, like, what was it, like 10 feet apart from each other in like a bunch of chairs, and they had a giant screen playing them out.
And I thought it was like super cool how like the audience was able to like socially distance at the same time. Like everybody came in their own car, everybody parked far away. It was amazing. And then to see everybody like on a jumbotron, I'm like, are you kidding me? That's amazing. Even though it could be a little intimidating, I would admit, like even I would be.
They were giving them the spotlight.
Yeah, but literally you had your moment. You had your like legit moment when everybody got to see you walk up to your principal, your administration, and like have them officially congratulate you on working so hard and receiving their diploma.
No, definitely. No, and I told my brother around that time, I was like, you guys got it a little bit better than we did with the whole like big stage. You're the big screen. You were the star out there along with all the other students.
Yeah, they had their moment, and I'm super glad they did because like everybody that either graduated college or high school, I mean, it was truly one of those moments where we were like, man, we're not going to have anything, but so many different schools and school districts, found a way to make it personalized and special for their kids.
Okay, so like, hey, let's talk about the Texas, right?
Yeah.
Texas weather. You're just saying that it's very humid.
Very humid for the summer, yes.
So what is it that you like about Texas, though?
Oh man, okay. I come from like a super small town in Kansas, and I love my hometown. I do. I like forever. It will be in my heart, but. Man, there's nothing to do there.
No, you
nothing.
were out in one of those wastelands.
I mean, it has its certain aspects where it's like, okay, you can do this, but I think in a way it's not tailored for a young crowd. If I would say, I mean, yeah, you do have your bars and stuff, but the main attraction of my hometown is kind of like the job aspect of it. I feel like a lot of people move to my hometown because there's 2 meat packing plants there. And so there's opportunities for families to come move and kind of establish themselves there. But when I moved down to Texas, I moved down to Denton, Texas blindly. I've only ever been here like one time when I visited my boyfriend. But aside from that, like I didn't know what I was getting myself into. I really didn't. And I, first of all, I'm terrified of driving in big cities. So the first time I had to go out and drive by myself, I probably had a full-blown like panic attack just thinking about the traffic.
I could just imagine you driving in like the San Francisco traffic during rush
Yeah,
hour.
I wouldn't do good. I wouldn't do good.
Oh man, no, those guys are bumper to bumper in 5-lane highways on both sides.
See, I can barely do 3, so 5 is like out of the picture.
It's insane, but like here in Texas, it's nice. The weather, you get used to the weather. The humidity gets pretty bad sometimes, but the weather here is crazy. Like it's one day it's hot, one day it's cold. It might rain today, it might not.
Yeah, I mean, on the plus side, I'm more a fan of like warmer and hotter weather. So yeah, the summer was like brutal, but at the same time, I'm like, I prefer this over a snowy blizzard, like -degree weather. I absolutely hate the cold, and I think that's one thing that Kansas just left me traumatized with is just the insane winter weather it would have. Like
I've never been in weather like that. I went to Europe one year, and I was out in where was it, Berlin, and a blizzard started to catch it. Now I thought it was crazy, right? But like it was like little tiny snowflakes coming at you like really fast with like strong winds, and I'm just like, wow, it's a blizzard. But then I see on TV and the news when people are having full out blizzards where you can't come out of the door. You can't open your car door or nothing. Like, what was it like that, or?
I mean, there were like some occasions when it was like that, but I mean, the moment I just see like snow piling up and it's just inches and inches, I'm like, all right, the outside is like not gonna see me. I would sit in front of the TV like crossing my fingers that school would be canceled because I hated the cold. And seeing snow, I'm like, no, thank you. And so in my time here so far in Texas, I mean, we're already like, late January. I mean, I still have yet to see how it snows here and what the harsh weather is going to be like.
Mm-hmm.
I think so far I've only gotten to experience like the cold, rainy stuff, but I'm like, this isn't.
That's nothing.
That's nothing. Yeah.
Yeah, that is nothing for you.
Yeah, I'm like, okay, I'm going to see what the harshest thing that, northern Texas can throw to me, but I mean, so far it's something that I'm like, okay, it's something I can deal with. I can manage.
Yeah, no, the weather here, it's not going to be much for you. I guess the heat, maybe, like you said, maybe that's why you didn't like the humidity in the air and just.
Yeah, it was something new, but I heard that southern Texas was like times 10 like worse, and I'm like, okay, I think I'm getting like the little sneak peek on the Texas humidity, but after that I'm like, okay, I don't know how I would do like down by the water
over by
area.
The border over there. Yeah.
Yeah.
See, I haven't been much in that area, so I wouldn't be able to tell you that, but
yeah.
I have plenty of friends that live out there, and I'm hoping I can get some of them on here sometime soon.
Yeah, for sure. I'm glad that I'm one of your first people on here.
No,
I feel honored.
Yeah, I'm glad to have you as well. I figured, you came all the way from Kansas here to start a new life.
For sure.
Without even knowing what you were getting yourself into.
And to be honest, every day is like something new. I just never know what life's going to throw at me, like especially down here. I mean, being far from family, but I'm grateful enough to like consider my boyfriend's family close family now. So even though I'm like far away from my blood family, I'm like I still have family here, and all the people that I met down here are super great, and they've made my welcome here to Texas nothing but amazing.
Okay, well, thank you for coming on today. Hopefully we'll get to talk again later.
For
and
sure.
have like your boyfriend on with you as well. That'd be nice.
Yeah, for sure. He's a goofball, but I bet you'll like him.
Yeah, that way some people get to know him.
Yeah.
But we're gonna wrap it up. Do you want to let people know where they can follow you, or
man, I didn't realize I was gonna have a plug
or would you
moment.
prefer to have your privacy like settled in?
Man, I guess if I come up with something, I mean, you can always throw it in at the end of the video. But I don't know. I guess for now, just want to make sure that people subscribe to you. Make sure that your podcast gets its name out there.
Yeah, you guys don't forget to like and subscribe and
sure.
comment. Make sure to leave some comments and let us know what you guys want to hear.
For sure.
Well, thanks for coming in.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
See y'all on the next one.
See ya.